just stand up for a second. Please just stand up for a second, because I just want to thank them. They did a wonderful job, and again, my family, we're very thankful for the time and effort that they put forth. I'd also like to take a moment to thank the doctors and the nurses and their medical staffs for the treatment that we've received in the 7 months since I've been diagnosed. And some of those doctors are here tonight, and I'm not going to introduce them all in case I might miss somebody, but I have to tell you, when you're diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and we've gone through the whirlwind of the last 7 months, I mean, they're not just their medical advice, but they opened their arms to us, and their love and their caring has really helped us. And so my family and I are very grateful for that. So thank you very much for that, too. You ready? Okay, a couple minutes. Harvey Mackay is a Minneapolis businessman, and he wrote a book called Swimming with the Sharks Without Getting Eaten Alive. And in his book, he says, there's 2 times in your life where you feel totally alone. Just before you die, and just before you give a 10-minute speech. I got to tell you, I'd much rather give the 10-minute speech, because I've been on both sides of this, and this is a much better place to be. You know, many of you might know that one of my family's favorite things to do is go to the Outer Banks for vacation. And we especially like going to Corolla. And many of you in this room have gone on our beach trips with us to Corolla. I mean, we've had upwards of, 50 people go to Corolla with us and spend a week. And we just had a heck of a good time. And as you may guess, there are many stories that come with that. And I'm not going to bore you with all those stories, but I do have one story in particular that I have to tell you about, and that's kind of what we're waiting for, the picture here. But because that's okay, and I'm going to go ahead with this story anyway, because I think I can explain it well enough to give you the visual in your mind. And I'm going to call this story the kayak story. I heard a groan from somewhere in the crowd. And the kayak story kind of goes like this, and hopefully we'll get the picture up here, because the picture is the only known evidence of this happening. And the picture, when it pops up, you'll see Bob Rahoy, who is not here with us tonight. He's on vacation, and Jeff Kettner, who is with here tonight, in a kayak, an ocean kayak, trying to get out. And in the picture, myself, Booker, Caitlin Kettner, Jeff's daughter, and Larry Kansky are in waist-deep water trying to get Jeff and Bob out beyond the wake so that they can use the ocean kayak. So picture this. Jeff is in the back. I'll say that again. Jeff is in the back. Bob is in the front. And of course, once the picture's up, this will mean a lot more to you. But what you'll see, what you don't see in the picture is what happened before that. When Jeff first tried to get on the kayak, the kayak tipped at least 10 times. Okay, because there was quite a weight differential between the two. Bob is about 150 pounds, and I won't guess what Jeff's weight is. And Jeff, I'm sorry. Please don't arrest me when I go through town tonight. I know he won't, and I'm living up to Congressman Schuster's calling me a smartass. I'm living up to that. So, and anyhow, so then what you don't see after the picture is when Bob and Jeff hit the first big wave, the kayak went straight up in the air, and Bob, who weighs 150 pounds, went spread eagle back into Jeff's lap. We found out after the kayak adventure that the weight limit for the kayak is 300 pounds. You do the math. So, and so what was so great about this picture is that they finally made it out to the ocean, got to paddle around a little bit, and on the way in, of course, they had just as many troubles on the way in as they had on the way out. But when they finally plopped onto the beach, the entire beach, and I'm not just talking the people that were with us, the entire beach gave them a standing ovation. I mean, it was a wonderful story and a vision that has never left me. So tonight, And tonight when I thought about, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? That vision kept coming back to me. Because when I look at the picture, it reminds me of my journey. Over the past 7 months, you see, this journey is just not my story. It's our story. And it really has been. It's been our story. It's a story of faith, family, friends, community, and love. When I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, you all, and that was on February 5th, by the way, you all jumped into the ocean of my turmoil, and you lifted me up out of an ocean of despair. And just like in the picture, you helped us get back to shore safely, and I thank you for that. Thank you. And from the hundreds of you, and I mean hundreds of you that came to my healing mass in 2 feet of snow in that first week in February, to those who brought countless number of dinners, how many cards, Kathy? Wouldn't even know how many cards. Many of them, gave us money for our travels back and forth to Pittsburgh, and of course all the prayers that you gave us. And to those, my chemo warriors. To the chemo warriors, and those who stopped by on a daily basis. For those of you that always kept me in your thoughts, I have to say thank you. And I can truly say that on our journey, I've never felt alone. Every day, somebody was there with us, whether it was in spirit or whether they were with us in actual. And so again, I thank you very much for that. When I look at this picture, I also think of people. When I think of this story, I also think of people that don't give up. You see, what I don't want you to miss in the story, as ugly as the picture is, Jeff and Bob made it out to the ocean and back. They completed their journey. And tonight something special is happening. And I know that this community won't rest until we find a cure for pancreatic cancer, because that's the kind of attitude that they have. And so I thank you for that. That's not the picture. Okay. When I think of this story, I also think of faith. Because all of us feel at times like we're alone in a boat drifting on the ocean. I know I felt that way when I was told of my diagnosis. The gun of pancreatic cancer was squarely in my face. But you know what? The strange thing about it, I was okay with it. God at that moment granted me the gift of peace. I have to laugh about it because I'm not that strong. I'm not that strong. It was a grace given to me. And I truly believe that this grace is given to everybody as long as we're willing to accept it. And I can tell you from personal experience, it is faith, and only faith, that'll get you through in a tough time like that. Don't forget your faith. It's important. Some of you have heard this story, but I think it's worth repeating because when I was diagnosed on February 5th, actually on February 4th, they took me for a PET scan at the Altoona Hospital. And the Altoona Hospital's PET scan unit is a mobile unit because PET scans, I guess, units are fairly expensive, so this unit actually moves around in a truck, and so it goes from hospital to hospital. And so it's out on the outskirts, the remote areas of the Altoona Hospital. And they wheeled me down in a wheelchair with that lovely hospital gown on, with the opening in the back. And I'm thinking, it's beginning of February. This is going to be pretty darn cold. So they at least gave me a blanket, and they wheeled me down this long, long hallway. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not sure, there were a couple people ahead of me, so I had to wait. And, I was sitting there thinking to myself, this should be the loneliest day of my life, and the lowest point of my life. I already knew I had cancer. This was just to confirm if it had spread or not. And I was sitting there, again, I started to chuckle because I wasn't afraid. At that moment, Jesus had wrapped me in his arms, and I felt okay. And I sat there for another 15 minutes or so, and every time they opened the door, it blew right up my hospital gown, so that wasn't fun. But as I sat there, people were starting to pass me by. It must have been an employee exit. And all I could see they were coming from behind me, and all I could see is their heads going by. And finally, this woman came around the corner.